The electric vehicle (EV) market was booming, an unstoppable force, or so it seemed. Factories were popping up, companies were betting big on battery production, and consumers were eagerly waiting for their chance to go electric. But then, something changed. The once unstoppable momentum slowed down. Projects were cancelled. Factories stopped building. What happened to this bright future of electric vehicles? Why did this slowdown hit? And what does it mean for the future of EVs? Let's find out. The initial boom. Not too long ago, electric cars were the future, and manufacturers couldn't build them fast enough. As demand grew, so did the need for batteries. Gigafactories were popping up everywhere, from Tesla's massive plants to new ones in Europe, China, and North America. The goal was clear: mass-produce batteries to make EVs affordable and widespread. For a while, it seemed like nothing could stop this electric revolution. Sales were climbing, projections were high, and the future looked bright. But, as we know, things don't always go as planned. The slowdown. Then, something started to shift. The excitement and promises began to cool off. Factory construction slowed. Projects that were announced with fanfare were suddenly delayed or outright cancelled. Headlines started to tell a different story. EV factory plans delayed, battery gigafactories put on hold, and EV demand slows down. What had happened to the boom? Why was the industry hitting the brakes? It's like an epic car chase scene where just when you think the hero's won, the car stalls and the villain catches up. Was the electric vehicle revolution running out of juice? Here are 4 main reasons behind this shift. Reason 1. Slower demand growth. Let's talk about the first reason: slowing demand growth. In 2024, German EV sales dropped by 16.4%. Wait, what? The country that was leading the charge for electric vehicles is seeing fewer cars sold? How could this happen? It's simple. The growth we saw in earlier years couldn't keep up. There were too many EV options flooding the market, and consumers just didn't rush to buy them like expected. Sure, there's still excitement around EVs, but the jump in sales wasn't as sharp as it used to be. We might be seeing fewer people ready to make that switch from gasoline-powered cars to electric ones. Add in rising costs of living, inflation, and the ongoing uncertainty of the global economy, and suddenly an electric car doesn't seem as affordable as it once did. And let's not forget the fact that in some places, people still love their gas guzzlers. The convenience, the price point, and the infrastructure are all built around traditional vehicles, and it's not so easy to change that overnight. Reason 2. Competition from China. The second reason is when China comes to EV battery production. China is the undisputed heavyweight champion. They've dominated the global market, especially in manufacturing batteries. But here's the kicker. Chinese companies have been able to produce batteries at a fraction of the cost compared to Western competitors. The production costs in China are significantly lower. And it's not just about labor. They have the entire supply chain in place, from the raw materials to the finished product. The rise of lithium iron phosphate, LFP batteries, which are cheaper to produce and more stable than traditional lithium-ion batteries, has further solidified China's position. So, while other countries ramped up their factory plans, China was already far ahead, making it harder for Western manufacturers to keep up. With cheaper, more efficient batteries coming out of China, there was no need for others to catch up. It's a real case of a David versus Goliath situation. But in this story, David is winning. Reason 3. High costs of gigafactories. Then, there's the reality of building these massive gigafactories. It sounds simple. Just build a huge factory and bam, you've got a fully operational battery production line. But in reality, it's a massive financial undertaking. The costs of building a gigafactory can be astronomical, running into billions of dollars. And that's just the start. Once the factory is up and running, there's the ongoing challenge of keeping it profitable. With the cost of raw materials rising and inflation hitting hard, many companies are reconsidering the sheer scale of their investment. Building these factories isn't just about producing batteries, it's about sustaining that production long-term. Higher interest rates and inflation are making these projects less appealing. It's a major gamble when you consider how much needs to be invested up front. Reason 4. Government policies and uncertainty. Now, we can't ignore the role of government policies and regulations in all of this. One minute, you've got subsidies and tax breaks pushing the EV industry forward. The next minute, policies shift, and what seemed like a sure thing suddenly becomes uncertain. In the US, the Biden administration's push for green energy initiatives created a lot of momentum, but that doesn't mean things are guaranteed to stay that way. Governments can also throw up red tape, making it harder for manufacturers to get permits or approvals for new projects. Policies and regulations are always changing, and that means uncertainty is a constant factor in the business world. When the rules keep shifting, it's difficult for companies to commit to long-term investments like building a new battery factory. Impact on the future of EVs. So, what does this slowdown mean for the future of electric vehicles? It means the road ahead might not be as fast or as smooth as we hoped. Sure, the long-term shift toward EVs is still happening, but it's not going to be as quick as we once imagined. Delays in factory production and higher car prices could make it harder for consumers to transition to electric cars. In the short term, it's going to be harder to get those shiny new electric vehicles into the hands of eager buyers. And in the long run, it could delay the time it takes for EVs to dominate the global car market. But don't worry, this doesn't mean EVs are going away. It just means that we might need to be more patient than we expected. The positive side. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's still a lot of good news in the EV world. For one, existing factories are getting upgrades and expansions. The push for more efficient battery production is driving innovation in battery technology. We're starting to see advancements like solid-state batteries, which promise higher energy densities and faster charging times. And let's not forget about the progress in battery recycling. As the demand for electric vehicles grows, so does the need to recycle the batteries. New technologies are emerging to make recycling easier and more cost-effective. These advancements could help ensure that the EV industry stays sustainable in the long run. Global perspective. It's also important to look at the global picture. While the slowdown may be hitting Western markets hard, some regions are seeing more growth. In Europe, for example, the adoption of electric vehicles is still strong, even if factory development is lagging behind. Different countries are moving at different speeds, and while some regions are struggling with factory construction, others are forging ahead. China, of course, remains the key player in the global EV market, but Europe is focusing on boosting its own battery production capabilities to reduce reliance on Chinese imports. It's a competitive global race, and every region is trying to find its footing in the EV ecosystem. The slowdown in EV battery factory construction isn't the end of the electric vehicle revolution, it's just a bump in the road. The future of EVs is still incredibly bright, but the road to a fully electric world might take a little longer than we originally thought. The challenges we're facing right now, from slowed demand growth to rising production costs, are real, but they are not insurmountable. As the industry evolves, so will the technology and the infrastructure that supports it. The dream of a greener, electric future is still very much alive. It just might take a little more time to reach. If you're as excited about the future of electric vehicles as I am, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more updates. Don't forget to press the bell icon to stay informed with all the latest news.